Greetings, everyone. Greetings. It's Dr. Michelle here. You know who I am. I am a physician and certified holistic health counselor and clinical nutritionist who helps people who are feeling burnt out, overwhelmed, stressed out. Lord, that's just about all of us right now. But I help you release some of that stress simply and naturally so you can get to the business of discovering your purpose, alleviating some of those chronic symptoms you've been experiencing as a result of stress, and live a stress-free life on purpose, and with passion. So, as promised, I'm back. So let's just quickly talk about some strategies for stress that you might be experiencing now and emotional upheaval. So I'm out here at the lake and I'm sitting on the grass with my shoes off. I don't know, can I do this? Child, I don't know what I'm doing. Got my shoes off, okay? Sometimes I stand like this and might get in tree pose, but anyway, I'm grounding. That's what I'm doing right now, is I'm grounding. I talked about this before, but I want to go a little bit more into depth. The reason I'm doing this is because sometimes I wake up and I feel that nervous tension inside, and I know that's very distracting and prevents me from being able to focus on the task at hand, which is building, living, walking, and acting in my purpose. So I come out here, and I'm at the lake, you can see behind me, to ground myself, literally connecting with the earth. And this is a technique of meditation. I have several techniques for an upcoming course that's coming out. Stay tuned for more information about that later. I have all kinds of goodies, but I do this to ground myself so that I am not emotionally tossed to and fro like that water you see behind me. The lake is not calm today. It is not calm today, just like most of us are not calm today. And what I do is I visualize connecting with the earth deeply, just like the roots of a tree, so that I am not tossed to and fro by social media posts, by the news reports, and I can remember who I am and remember those things that are important. This is one thing that I want all of us to do. Do not forget what we have learned, what we have experienced in the last few months. Because true to form, there will be another story, and it's possible we could forget everything that has happened and let it be a distant memory and go back to the same old, and we cannot do that. We cannot afford to do that. So, ground yourself. And then support yourself. Sometimes the part of grounding is educating yourself on those things that are going to be helpful for your self-care and for the care of others. So I'm going to share a quick story with you. I shared the story yesterday about coming back and being stopped by the police in the middle of nowhere, Mississippi at 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay. So this story here is, I am a proud graduate of a HBCU, historically black college and university, and that one would be Xavier University of Louisiana, XU. Xavier University of Louisiana, hashtag 1925 Society. And the reason why I chose a HBCU to attend, I only applied to a HBCU, was because growing up, a lot of times I may have been the only African American in my class. So there was a lot of back and forth in my education. We stayed in the same school district. I'm a public school kid. My parents chose to purchase a home and move into a neighborhood that was known for having a good public school system. I was blessed in that way. There are people that do not have that luxury, okay? They do not have that option. So, yeah, it was good. It was good. But being in class, a lot of times I outperformed my peers. So therefore, they would move me to what they call accelerated classes. So let's say that I was in biology. I would be moved to biology X, accelerated classes. It's in the accelerated classes that I would be the only African American student in there. And then I would encounter teachers who, end quote, would tell me, you are not smart enough to be here. You should not be here. And then, of course, emotionally and mentally, that works on you. See the microaggression? It works on you. And then I had no motivation. I had no interest to do my very best in school. All right. And I was taught that whatever you do in life, you do your best. You always do your best. So then they would move me back to the regular classes. Once again, I would surpass the expectation of the regular classes, and the teacher would recommend, no, Michelle needs to be in the accelerated classes. It was a lot of back and forth like that. So I got to the point, what the straw that broke the camel's back, before that. I got to the point where I said, I'm sick of this. I'm tired of being in an environment where I am not nurtured. I was nurtured at home, praise God, for a good, loving family. I was tired of being in an environment in class where I'm supposed to learn, because I already had the burning desire to be a physician from the time I was 5. Nothing in my mind was going to stop that, because I grew up in a house we were not allowed to say the word can't. And don't try to get cute and say cannot. We were not allowed to say those words in the house, because we were told you can do anything that you put your mind to. Okay? But I was tired of being in an environment that oftentimes felt hostile and devalued me and my abilities, questioned my abilities. So I said, you know what? I've been around these Caucasian cousins like my whole life. I need a break. If only for 4 years, I need a break. And that's why I exclusively applied to HBCUs. Actually, I'm going to be honest with you. I only applied to one school, and that was Howard University, which I was accepted with a small scholarship, but I went to a summer program, SOAR. I know there's people on here who will watch this replay or whatever, and they're SOAR graduates as well. Hey, but I attended the program at Xavier, SOAR, and I did well in it. So they offered me not only an acceptance to the university, but a scholarship. And the scholarship was way more than what Howard was offering me. So it was a no-brainer. So I attended Xavier University of Louisiana. Be clear, it's the one in the Mississippi Valley in the Crescent Bend. Okay, be clear. So anyway, and there I felt that I could be myself. I did not have all African American teachers, because if you don't know, Xavier University was started by Catherine Drexel, who was a nun by that order, and they are our Caucasian cousins. So my my advisor was Sister Maureen. Oh, I loved her so much. But it was an environment that celebrated you, that validated your abilities, and not just validate them, but encourage you and push you to do more. So if you know an XU graduate, you know that you will hear a lot of times talking about Black excellence, because that was the expectation and nothing less at Xavier University of Louisiana. And so that helped ground me even more from the foundation that I have for my family. And And the foundation and the nurturing and the education that I received at Xavier University of Louisiana, it helped ground me in even more to go out into this world that is hostile and a lot of times toxic. It's toxic to people of African descent. Let's just be real. So I encourage everyone to educate yourselves on the things that you need for your self-care, and for building a new world, a new normal. Some people kept saying during quarantine, oh, I can't wait to go back to normal. Baby, we don't need to go back to normal. We don't need to do that. It's toxic. It does not benefit the whole. Another way that I encourage you to educate yourself, which will help ground you, because knowledge and information helps ground you so that you know the truth. People have often said, if you don't want people to know the truth, if you want to hide it, put it in a book, because people don't read. So educate yourselves. One of my mentors is Dr. Kimberly Richards. And she is the executive director of PSAB. And PSAB stands for the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond. And what they do is they do undoing racism workshops. I have attended several of these because, she's my mentor. And it will blow your mind. It is not just for the Caucasian cousins. Caucasian cousins, you definitely need this. It is for everyone because it really breaks down systematic racism, and it covers every level and every facet of our lives from scientific reports. So my scientists know a lot of times when you have things like, let's say you coming out with a new drug or something like that, then I used to work at Eli Lilly in the summers, okay? So I was a student working in the summer on the very, very early trials, and now I forgot the name of the medication, but it's a medication for women for osteoporosis. So I was working there during the time when we were on animals. We tested the formula on quails, and then, we sacrificed them and then looked at their bone density under a microscope. So anyway, once you go from being in the laboratory with animals, then you move to the clinical trials with people. A lot of times, African Americans are not a part of these clinical trials. Okay? So we don't even know how effective these drugs would be on us. We are all of the human race, but there are some differences within ethnic groups. We all know that. There are some physical differences within ethnic groups. Okay. So I'm not necessarily saying that systematic racism has caused us not to be a part of clinical trials. This is just an example. But one thing for sure and for certain is that African Americans have a distrust of healthcare system in this country. I'm saying this, I'm a physician. That's why it was so important. Another reason why it was important for me to be a physician, because I have the care and compassion. I love all people who act with respect. But especially, if there's a population who is not being cared for optimally, well, y'all want to help them. So yeah, we have a distrust. No, indeed, I'm not going to no clinical trial. I don't know what in the world that you are giving to me. Because that's the history in America that has happened, where black people have been in a clinical trial without their consent and didn't even know it because you're running tests on us to see what's going to happen. All right. So the Undoing Racism workshops conducted by the People's Institute. Hey, Dr. Nee, thanks for hopping on. Oh, I just love you. I love what you're doing. I've been seeing your posts. It's your time, brother. It's your time. Come through from the root. Come through from the root. That's my brother and colleague, my brother medical mogul, Dr. Nee. He's from the root. He's Ghanaian. So we need you now more than ever. We need our brothers and sisters from the root. Hey, brother. That's my blood brother right there, Dwayne. Hey, Wayne. So anyway, the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond, with the Undoing Racism workshops, educates you on how bias and racism permeate every facet of our lives. Like I said, from healthcare, from education, from politics, from neighborhoods, economics, scientific studies, social studies, everything. And don't be asleep, honey. Don't be asleep. Wake up and stay awake. Take NoDoz if you need to for this time right now. We are awake for such a time as this. You remember a few years ago, they were talking about rewriting the history books and talking about enslaved Africans were indentured servants. Who, what? What kind of payment they got? Take a whole stadium of seats, boo. A whole stadium of seats. So it's things like this that if I give you amnesia of how I've been treating you, then the little crumb that I give you, which is nothing to sustain you, you will be happy and you will forget what you need to do and what it is that you truly deserve. So I encourage everybody, and if you have questions about that, because I don't know what's on their website, I don't know what's going on, please just send me a message directly or put in the comments. Okay, put in the comments if you have questions about the Undoing Racism workshops. I know that the Undoing Racism workshops, a whole corporation or different organizations can schedule them to come in and conduct that. I know that they did that and they do that. I know that they had to do a lot of it after number 45 was elected because a lot of people were on edge. Thus, here we are today. But please just reach out to me. I can connect you with the executive director who is one of my mentors. If you need every organization needs that workshop. They do. Every corporation needs that workshop because you want to know what? A lot of workplaces are hostile and toxic. They're hostile and toxic. We got to stop it. We got to stop it. So that's it for me. Today's topic, strategies for stress and emotional upheaval. Ground yourself like I'm doing. Literally connect with the earth. Literally connect with the earth. Breathe in positivity and all the power and the force and the source that the earth provides, and breathe out negativity and stress and worry and anxiety. Ground yourself. Educate yourself on ways for self-care. Educate yourself on ways, knowing exactly what you're dealing with so you know how to treat and heal it. That's what we do as doctors. You conduct tests so you can find out the root cause of the disease, so then you know the proper protocol and treatment plan. Educate yourself. Ground yourself. Educate yourself. That's it for me for today. I have another story I want to tell y'all, but I think I'm going to save it for tomorrow. So, everyone, I want you to have a positive day, yes, but more importantly, I'm going to leave you with this. Breathe, ground yourself, and I want you to have a purposeful day. A purposeful day. A purposeful day. It's Dr. Michelle. See you tomorrow. Be well.